only problem here as you exit from Jogoo Road into Outer Ring towards Umoja. There's a bit of a snarl up there. I don't know what exactly is happening, but if at all you are on that road, kindly inform us through our social media pages what's happening on that section around that interchange that goes into Manyanja Road, but along Outer Ring Road. Southern part of the city, Imaradaima, all the way past Next Gen into town, looking green. Langata Road 2, all the way from Galleria Mall, past Uhuru Gardens, all the way to Nyayo Stadium roundabout, looking good as well. Ngong Road 2 looking green all the way. Even the usual pressure points, nothing so far. Hata ingine ya kutoka Gitaru, all the way past Kino, Kabete, ABC Place, all the way into town, it's looking good. Well, ni Friday, hakuna kitu hapa. Kama unataka kwenda kazini, I think this is the best time to leave home. Yeah. No traffic at all.
Oh yes. Let's take a look at the weather update for not only today, also for Saturday and Sunday. Let's start with Kisumu. We'll be taking a look at Kisumu, Nairobi, as well as Mombasa. So if you're in Kisumu, right now it's 19 degrees Celsius. It promises to get a bit warmer, but then it's going to be some light showers into the midday. 50% in mvua kidogo, but then it's going to ease off and get warmer than that. If you're in Mombasa, 23 degrees Celsius right now, and it's 6 a.m. Tuone kama itanyesha in Mombasa? Nope. No light showers today, just temperatures as high as 28 degrees Celsius. That is in Mombasa. Into the weekend, 29, highs of 29 and highs of 28, lows of 22. That's some average weather in Mombasa. Finally, niguzie ya Nairobi. Here in county 047, 13 degrees Celsius right now. It's going to get a bit warmer than that. 22 degrees Celsius. Yunila si chilly, lakini juu imetokea, but then it's a bit cloudy as well. Saturday and Sunday, 22 highs of 22 for Saturday and highs of 24 for Sunday. This is one of those weekends in Asamanga. If you're planning a wedding, a get together, this is will help you plan that, because kutakuwa na jua. That is as far as weather is concerned in major cities of the country. Speaking of what to expect, let's take a look at our news diary. On the first page of our news diary is what I had alluded to earlier. Mount Kenya University will be holding its 25th graduation ceremony today, which, according to the university, is expected to start around 9 a.m. Today. So we'll be following up on that, just for you, giving you those live pictures when it starts. Also for today, not a whole national dialogue team, but then UDA National Executive Committee kind of meeting, and this was according to the chair of UDA, Cecily Mbarire, said a day ago that the party will be holding a NEC emergency meeting today, just to discuss the recent events that have been happening in that party. So this meeting is expected to clear the air on the contested seat of the Secretary General between Cleophas Malala and Joe Halende. It is on the third page. It is cabinet vetting day 2. So real quick, let me tell you who you expect to see today. First off, at around 8 a.m., Agriculture Cabinet Secretary nominee in the Agriculture docket will be the first to appear for that. He'll be followed by Environment docket nominee Eden Duale. Later on, we'll be having Water CS nominee Eric Muga, Road and Transport nominee Davis Chirchir, and 2 hours later, ICT CS nominee Margaret Ndungu will close. So this particular vetting process goes all the way, continues tomorrow, and then concludes on Sunday. And then next week, around there, we'll be expecting the committee to present the report to the whole House. And finally, on our diary, it is quite the packed day for Kenyan athletes. So first off, today we do expect Margaret Chilimo, Faith Kipyegon and Beatrice Chebet to begin the women's 5,000 meter round 1 race at around 7:10 p.m. majioni huko. This will be followed an hour later by 4x400 meter relay mixed round 1 that will incorporate Mutua Veronica, Chebet Mercy, Mweresa Boniface and Kapirante David. Kitu 8:45 p.m. hapo expect Mirimora, Vivian Chebet and Lilian Odira to be representing Kenya in the women's 800 meter round 1, and at 10:20 p.m. just to finalize what people are really looking forward to, The 10,000-meter final will set off, and all eyes will be Nicholas Kipkorir, Daniel Mateko, and Bernard Kibet, and Benson Kiplangat. So stick around for that, and a lot more we'll be telling you right here on our news bulletins. Right now, though, today in history.
On the 2nd of August 2012, Egypt's 35-minister cabinet was sworn in by the then-president Mohamed Morsi at a ceremony in Cairo. The ministers were selected by Prime Minister-designate Hisham Kandil.
All right, take a look at the headlines now. Sparks as 2.5 billion shilling nominees face test, and you'll realize that there's an obsession, or there appears to be an obsession about the net worth
Yes.
of all these cabinet secretaries. There were no fireworks as MPs who faced the wrath of Gen Zs for passing the fallen Finance Bill 2024 in protests that forced the dissolution of the cabinet sought redemption yesterday. During day one of scrutiny of President William Ruto's 5 picks, worth a combined net worth of 2.5 billion shillings. Hey, bwana, watu wako na do. So Soipan Tuya, the nominee for CS Defense, she was worth 156 million shillings 20 months ago. Now she's worth 243.
That's a difference of about
87 million, yes.
And
CS nominee for Interior, Kirture Kindiki, was worth 544 million shillings 20 months ago. Now he's worth 694. That's about 150 million. CS
nominee
for Lance nominee, she was worth 218 million. Now she's worth 327 million shillings. So in just about 20 months, net worth in a grow.
Ni kama ni kuko lucrative.
They're minting money in a way. So that's the biggest discussion, just about the net worth of these members or these nominees to the cabinet, and we'll see what other papers are talking about. The other story given prominence on the front page of the Standard, ongoing investigations and inquiry into the killings of protesters. So Nairobi police boss and victims kin at IPOA. We have a picture there of Adamson Bungei, the police commandant, Nairobi. On the top strip of the Standard, front page, some politics there. Kalonzo Kioni throw weight behind Rigathi. Interesting. Elsewhere, rights group sues over roads levy. On the international scene, anger over Hamas chief killing, and Olympics, Kenya stars on show. This is a big story in as far as Kenya is concerned. Today, we could be beginning the hunt for proper medals at the Paris Olympics, and that's what features on the back page of the Standard. We have a picture there of Kenyans Faith Kipyegon, Beatrice Chebet, and Sifan Hassan of Netherlands at the World Athletics Championships in Budapest, Hungary last year. But the headline reads, it's a clash of world champions and fastest women in history. And if you want a program of what to look forward to today, it's there on the back page of the Standard, and as far as Olympics are concerned.
That is the Standard. Tuangalie, okay, lazima tuangalie the pulse kidogo tu ya ku brush through.
Nilijua tu. Girlfriend's Day ilikuwa jana. Leo utasema nini?
Ni Friday. It's an easy Friday. Ni mzuri kuangalia pulse kidogo. And inside talk about street photography. Shots in Nairobi CBD as an art. Inakuwa by the way a whole creative.
Street photography.
Pale Gen Z wanachapa kazi vilivyo.
Hapo around Muindi Mbingu Street.
And other places. Kuzo wamejiseti hapo. And Ivy Kimani is a model for this morning. There you have it. The pulse for you. Tuangalie other papers. Fred asianza kusema niende nitafute huyo model. On the front page of Daily Nation, crisis as 32 billion cash shillings unsold tea hits farmers' payouts. They call it a bitter mess. A standoff over state fixed minimum prices at The Mombasa tea auction has left warehouses overflowing with over 100 million kilos of unsold produce, with many farms, including the giant Kenya Tea Development Agency, that is KTDA, struggling to pay farmers and resorting to loans to offset dues to the growers. And as the tea bonus season beckons, it's a race against time for the authorities to unlock the stalemate and farmers' hard-earned cash. Is on page 4. Enyewe ni chai moto. Hapo katikati, they also make mention of this net worth before and after, how Ruto ministers minted millions in 21 months. They put it as it is. Hakuna kuongeza chumvi, hakuna kuongeza spices. They have it there. 3 cabinet secretary nominees named back to the cabinet by President Ruto yesterday revealed multi-million shilling increases in their wealth in less than 2 years in office. This is the first batch of 5 nominees faced a tough test before the House Committee. And other headlines, airman who escaped 3 executions and lived to tell coup tale. Yes. The
continuation of that story from yesterday on the 1982 attempted coup.
Yes. I've been reading on that, and it's quite some interesting history.
Someone should actually try and do a movie on what happened in
1982.
On the front page of the People Daily, House team put on trial in CS vetting. At least they've gone with a different angle to this. Everyone else is focusing on the net worth of these nominees. But the People Daily has flipped, and it is now looking at the performance of the National Assembly's Committee on Appointments. They say America Anti-Corruption Watchdog warns against approval of nominees stained with integrity queries and dubious qualifications. MPs told to endorse credible individuals. Will they heed to this call? Fake preachers face new tough reform rules also features on the front page of the People Daily, but the story is on page 12. And of course up there, Chancellor to MKU, keep growing your international networks. There's more you can read about the Mount Kenya University in this daily and the others as they mark their 25th graduation ceremony today. That's the People Daily.
On the Star, Ruto Raila plan major changes to constitution. So it was a whole closed kind of meeting. Opposition bosses rejected bid for radical reforms. Odinga has called for return to the famous Bomas draft constitution. More is on page 6.
Now this is something that Kenyans need to really look at. With a kind of alliance or dalliance between ODM and UDA, supermajority, wale wa jamaa wanaweza fanya mambo mengi sana, mutastuka. You won't believe. You won't believe.
The headlines on the left, end is nigh, miracle pastors face 10 years in jail in new law. A similar headline to what is on People Daily. Something else, they revive the IEBC conversations that other dailies haven't gone with. Tribunal holds formation of IEBC hiring team. Palechini 2023 was world warmest year. On record, UN matters climate change as well. And now for this one, they also have the photos of the cabinet nominees who appeared yesterday. Stinking rich nominees vetted by lawmakers.
It's just about their net worth. That's the biggest discussion when it comes to cabinet.
Hiyo lazima watu waangazie tu.
Amerika ya mlenga nani? Ni swali pale wanauliza. Ubalozi wa Amerika nchini wahimiza wabunge kukataa mawaziri wateule wasio waadilifu wakipigwa msasa. Sasa pale naona wameweka picha za watu kadhaa. Sijui mbona wameweka picha hizi. Nominees ni wengi. Tahadhari. Serikali ya Amerika inataka bunge la Kenya kuwakataa mawaziri wateule ambao uadilifu wao unatiliwa shaka. Ni nani huyo? Ni swali wanauliza. Vidokezo zaidi kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili la Taifa Leo. Askari jela watishia kugoma. Kwingine, niliamka tajiri nikalala maskini. Huyu ni mbunge wa Kieni Njoroge wa Inaina, anaelezea alivyopoteza kila kitu kwa mpigo. Na kwingineko, Hamas Iran watoa onyo kwa Israel. Pale juu kuna vidokezo zaidi. Bilioni 15 za vijana zilifujwa. Mkaguzi wa hesabu wasema waliotuma maombi walipata pesa nyingi kuliko kiasi ambacho walikuwa wameomba.
Itakuwaje hasa?
Katika spoti ni gozi la piga ua Olimpiki. Makipa Restes na Ruli wana kazi kubwa michini leo usiku. So even football in as far as Olympics is concerned begins today.
And I think finally on Business Daily, Treasury stands at 510 billion shillings as tax hole collapse. Take a look at the physical paper. In a context, they say the decision by the Court of Appeal to void the Finance Act 2023 has left the government with a 510 billion shillings hole in its budget for the current fiscal year, while also exposing the true level of the Kenya Kwanza administration tax increments that sparked widespread protests. More of that is on page 2. The consequences and the consequence of that ruling of the Court of Appeal. On the ticker, matters companies, Kenya Power deals a blow to illegal scrap metal traders. So in case you're in that business this morning, listen to this. Kenya Power now exclusively channels its scrap metal to the state-owned numerical machining complex for recycling into various products, some of which are handed back to the electricity farm on a net-off arrangement, dealing a blow to illegal traders. Na maswala ya EABL imejipata tena hapo. Kwa tika wanasema East African Breweries PLC spent 11 billion shillings in repaying debts in the year ended June 2024 as part of cost management measures. Nilo ulikuwa nasema watu wamepunguza.
Watu ni kama hawabugii. Let's take a look at the cartoons this morning, and on page 14 of the Standard, matters Olympics. Yes, wanasema finally, and there's a family watching the Olympics on TV. Finally, our Olympics starts today. Leo ndio watu wanaanza track events. Sasa hapo ndio tunajua hapo at least. Because what they've been doing so far, some sports, synchronized swimming na hizo hatuwezi.
Lakini jana by the way, one of our Kenyans was representing Samuel Kavimba in the men's 20-kilometer walk race.
Yes.
He finished number 22.
Yes.
So alifanya kazi safi pale.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, so far we've had also judo, but then we haven't really been performing. So I think the fact that now Kenya is looking forward for today's events.
Tuseme tu kweli, sisi tunajua ile tumekujia hapa. Mbio za masafa marefu, but we also have hope with Ferdinand Omanyala, even the short races. We could actually get a medal this time round. So finally our Olympics starts today. Na wanasema hapa sasa
ni kuanguka nayo.
Yes. That's the cartoon on the Standard. On the Daily Nation, they talk about the vetting process, and this, they have a laundry machine there that's washing people and making them white as cotton. So this is actually the process, and the cleaning instructions are, ukiulizwa swali nasema, well, I'll need to consult.
I had that yesterday a number of times.
I only deal with policy. Now we need better communication. That we agree, we need better communication.
They were criminals.
Those were criminals. Hey. And I don't have a solution. Waliambao kubali. Kama una useme tu sina solution. So the whole process is simply to sanitize the nominees, especially those who have been reappointed back to the cabinet. So what do you think? Do you agree with this cartoon?
Yesterday was the first one. Yesterday was the first one. Was the first day. Yeah, washing machine. Wacha tuone leo itakuwaje. Aya, a similar. So from washing machine, anapitia pa stamp of approval.
Yes, Parliament is simply a stamp. Yes, kazi yao tu ni kufanya tu approved. Mnangojea kitu tofauti? Well, hiyo ni cartoon nimesema sio.
Yes, mtuambie.
Because according to this cartoon, vetting nominees already approved hata kabla ya vetting.
Some vetting formalities. A similar nini. I love how the caricaturists today decided to creative visual on how to have this.
Vetting of CS nominees in progress.
Unapitia kwa hiyo machine ya.
See nothing through this screen. Hakuna kitu ina show.
Amiko off.
Must be off. It's the question is the necessity of this vetting process. And many Kenyans are asking, are they really doing anything? Ama yetu ni kupaka mbuzi rangi.
Do you trust this particular vetting process?
Either we'll be bringing to you bits and pieces of that vetting process as it continues at County Hall as members of the National Assembly's Committee on Appointments continues to vet nominees to the cabinet. Meanwhile, of course, the big discussion so far today is about their net worth, and more coming. So after the break, we'll be having Chris Humphrey Ojode and Josephat Kamanya in studio. These are political analysts to help us with these discussions, including this political one. Kalonzo and Kioni now say they will throw their weight behind Rigathi in case of an ouster bid. So you don't want to miss that conversation. Do stand by for that, and you can be part of it through our social media pages on X at TV47 News and on Facebook, TV47 Kenya. You can tag me on X. My handle is at Freddy Ndibuli.
And Yurungita _. Remember, all roads today are leading to Mount Kenya University, Ukothika campus. So in case you want to leave right now, anza kutoka sahi. But in case unaona, si acha leo ni relax kwa nyumba. I will be giving those live pictures. Stick around for them, for that at around 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Our team is there. We'll be giving you all that and a lot more.
Yeah, the 25th graduation ceremony for the Mount Kenya University.
We came, we studied, we conquered. Join us as we celebrate our 25th graduation ceremony, which will take place on 2nd August at Happy Valley Grounds, Thika, starting 9 a.m. The event will be presided over by the University Chancellor, Professor John Strathers, under the theme University Sustainability through Research and Innovation. Watch this event live on TV47 and all MKU social media handles. Mount Kenya University, unlocking infinite possibilities.
This week on Safari za Mabingwa, I've had the honor of hosting the legends in the 800 meters category. I'm speaking about...
Okay, the most important thing in athlete, unaweza kuja number last in a race, but you've lowered your PB. That is a great achievement than even getting number one.
And of course, not forgetting, why did you choose running?
Nilipenda, pia nilikuwa inspired by friends. Na pia nikafurahia kuwa mkimbiaji hata mimi. Kwa mtu wa sports.
What's your best record?
158.26.
Kwa Itatoi Kidali. Umekimbia miaka ngapi?
3 years ndio ni perform sasa well. Ile wakati wote nilikuwa na manga tu. Ndege ilikuwa ikipiga hivi wale nasikia kusha. Let's get tumeenda.
The key is not to damage it while...
morning once again. Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indimuli. Time for us to take a look at the headlines this morning on State of the Nation. No Sparks as 2.5 billion shilling nominees face test. There seems to be an obsession with just how much these nominees to the cabinet are worth. How Ruto ministers minted millions in 21 months. That's on the front page of the Daily Nation. We have similar headlines on other dailies as well this morning, and we'll be looking at them as well. Allow me to introduce my panelists this morning. On my immediate right, Chris Humphrey Ojode, a political analyst. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
And Josephat Kamanya, familiar face to this panel, a political analyst as well. Karibu, Bwana Kamanya.
Thank you, Fred.
Let's start, of course, with the big headlines, matters to do with the ongoing vetting of cabinet nominees. And it would appear that if you look at all the dailies, or at least most of them, they've decided to go with the angle of the net worth of these nominees. And many people may wonder, this appears to be the only conversation we are concerned about when it comes to the vetting process. How much are they worth? Bwana Humphrey, are we missing something when we keep obsessing around the wealth of these nominees?
I think, Bwana Josephat, these people, when you see the net worth that they have accumulated over time, I don't agree with it, because if you're telling me that you're being paid about 2 million and you're accumulating 100 million in just about 1 year or 2 years, there is a problem. Yes, there is a problem, and that is why Kenyans were fighting for corruption, Gen Zs were fighting for all this, and I know that this is going to bring a lot of problems. We need to scrutinize everything, and the MPs need to be very careful. Yes, I'm happy with the EACC. There are some of the candidates that say that should be looked into, and they should be seriously scrutinized. So I believe we have to do something.
Okay. Bwana Kamanya, do you believe that anything will happen beyond this entertainment we are getting about how much these people are worth? Are we getting any quality from this going forward?
Well, Fred, good morning to all our viewers. It's a feel-good Friday. And as you say, it's entertainment galore as we wait for the vetting committee to continue sanitizing, in my opinion, especially the nominees that have been reappointed. I feel that the reason there's a lot of concentration on the net worth is because, remember, this country, we are riddled with rampant corruption. And the agents of corruption, and the state, mainly now, as you can see, the cabinet secretaries, that's why they've come into question. Because it is hard to fathom how in your entire adult life, and having worked for some of them 20 to 30, almost 40 years, whatever they have accumulated has magically grown by a third in just a mere 18 months, you know? Even if whatever you've been earning, you've not been spending a single cent, it does not make mathematical sense. But more so, it's not even about the net worth. It's a question of the character of the individual and the kind of structures we have in government, you know? And remember, the revolution, the Gen Z revolution is still in play. And the call was for good governance. So when you bring people who are of questionable character, and as Humphrey has rightly said, EACC has even stepped in to flag some of the just nominees. When you bring then back the same people whom Kenyans had a problem with, calling and leading to the dissolving of the previous cabinet, it's bringing into question, what are we really doing? And supposing they even all went through, perhaps something to discuss as we move along, does that exude confidence, you know, on this administration? Does that reflect better for the president to the people? I think it does not.
Because some of these amounts you're looking at definitely raise queries. 150 million shilling increase in your net worth within 20 months. Yet, fine, beyond the amount, then what, Humphrey? And many people are wondering, okay, fine, questions are asked, issues are raised, then what happens after that? It is very obvious that many people are questioning how someone's net worth could increase that much. But beyond the revelation, then what? Do we expect anything to happen to these nominees?
You see, that's why the question comes to our MPs who are doing all the scrutinies. When our MPs does not reflect what happens, then it means that we don't have a country. They should know that people are watching, and they should know that all the things they are doing to help our country. Yes, you see, if you check out these people and our MPs, maybe some of them maybe have taken something from these nominees. Maybe there is a lot going on behind the scene. But we believe that our MPs should stand up for our country.
Okay.
Yes.
And we've seen the kind of back and forth between the EACC and the ODPP's office, especially with regard to one of the nominees, Cliff Oparanya.
Yes.
That kind of exchange between institutions that should be at the forefront of fighting corruption leaves a lot to be desired. Don't you think?
Yeah. You know, Fred, we've been calling for institutional independence because this is the only way this country is going to thrive. Whereby if it's EACC, it is left to do it, to execute its mandate, same with ODPP and other agencies. And then there is collaboration at the greater spectrum of things so that we're able to come up with the desired outcome. But when you see some of these agencies stepping out to shed water and shadow over the others, it compromises the ethics. It compromises the spirit of that agency to operate independently, because if already you're being called, let's say ODPP, to look into this by EACC suggesting otherwise and calling on judiciary and vice versa, there should be that collaboration for the interest of the country. But the problem we have, we must say boldly so, is that one, we have a highly, strongly incompetent National Assembly. People do not have faith in this select committee. Thirdly, you must understand that these are people who seem to have been already pre-approved. We're just waiting for the, as you see, as you saw the caricature exhibiting, for them to be just stamped approved. Remember, at the mention of the proposal of these characters, away now from EACC and other agencies, the country was put in a campaign mode, led by the president himself, something he has no business doing it, because when he did that, he was already compromising the procedure of the vetting process. He should have let the matter at just nominating and let the procedure, the process take its course, and then leave it to the people, leave it to the select committee. There were invitations I saw by the LSK, where they are even offering free affidavit processing. If somebody has a concern about any nominee, that is fine. But when the president comes now, goes to Mombasa and says, I've appointed this person, some of these things knee-jerk reaction. I don't understand them, because let's assume Joho doesn't make it. What happens to the emotions here?
Yet the assumption, and if you look at all the cartoons today, out of 4 cartoons, 3 have focused on the issue of vetting.
Yes.
There seems to be a lot of doubt on the effectiveness of this vetting process. I'm sure it costs us money, it costs us time, but many Kenyans are questioning, is it even necessary? Because one of the cartoons simply puts it this way, that Parliament is simply a rubber stamp. Do you think there will be any better quality offered by this committee?
My brother.
Not on this, especially these nominees, not from this process. Because again, when you look at it, as you say, it's a waste of money, Kenyan tax. It's a waste of time, because these are people we did not want at all to start with. So subjecting them now to almost an error-proof process in quotes, it does not yield much. Secondly, the kind of responses they were offering, like I look at the former CS Kindiki, he distanced himself from operational procedures that have costed us lives, you know, and property as well. So if somebody says I was in office, but I'm merely at the policy level, those are procedural and operational details, what is he telling us? You know, for me, even in terms of competency, these people, even focusing away from the net worth, these people do not deserve to be in the office.
What's your take on that? Do you expect...
Actually, I'm supporting what he's saying, because you realize, if you were yesterday checking online, you're seeing the reactions. Like, for example, Mr. Kindiki, Professor Kindiki, you realize that there are those things that he promised. He did not deliver. He told us that the IDs are going to come out as soon as possible. We had 40,000 and nothing has happened. You see, if you are telling us that you are competent and you promised and whatever you promised has never been delivered, it means that you are continuing to promise and you don't deliver. Actually, what he has said about incompetency is seen from some of the nominees as saying that they don't have a solution for our problems. So we have problems still. Yes.
Do you think that they were coached? I think one of the cartoons, on the one on the Daily Nation, talks about some of the responses they've given, and they seem to indicate that there's a washing machine there on that cartoon. The vetting committee is a washing machine, and the result is white as cotton. But then the cleaning instructions on answering questions, I will need to consult on that one. I only deal with policy, the one you've mentioned. We need better communication. There seems to be an admission, yes, communication. We could do better there. They were criminals, and I don't have a solution to that. Do you think that probably there was some level of coaching to the nominees on how to respond to some of the questions?
Of course, my brother. Because if you're watching that conversation or how the grilling was going on, you would realize that these people, they had been coached. That is my take about that. Because you realize that if the question is going off what he was coached, he's not able to answer. Yes. For example, the CS Baraza, he was asked about how he's going to do about the doctors' strikes. He said he didn't have a solution. And you see, these are the things that us as a country should be looking into them so seriously. Because when the demonstrations are going on, what we were looking for is accountability, corruption-free, and a good governance. That is what actually Gen Zs were fighting for. And if you see what is going on, it's just recycling the same people. Yes, I think the president would have given opportunity for people to apply for these jobs. After applying for these jobs, we get to select from the best. Yes, because all these nominees who have been recycled, they are going to do the same thing. There is nothing that is going to change.
If we may focus on Parliament for a bit, the National Assembly especially. On the 25th of last month, that was the first target of the protesters, Occupy Parliament. And that was an indication, that was an indictment on the conduct of the Houses of Parliament. They came back on the 23rd of this month, July, of last month, July. This is perhaps one of the biggest undertakings that they've gotten to, the vetting of cabinet nominees. And many would expect that coming from that level where public confidence in the conduct of the National Assembly is so low, that the House would seek to redeem itself. Do you see any attempt at redemption from the National Assembly's end?
Far from it. Far from it. This has remained the most incompetent National Assembly we've had in the history of Kenya so far. And remember earlier on we were talking about the autonomy of our institutions, well, legislature or the parliament being one of them. It seems that there is a huge influence on the parliamentarians from their parties, from their political parties. So they have lost their autonomy to operate on principle.
Yet parties have been there forever, for the longest time. I don't know what is so different this time around with the 13th Parliament especially.
If you do remember, when they were voting for the finance bill, what did they say? I am following the directive of my master, of my party leader, of the president, disregarding a very loud call that now led to the invasion of the parliament from the people. So these are not members of parliament. These are workers and employees of the president. Because we had delegated to them as civilians and people who voted for them to go and represent us. But when they got into parliament, what did they decide to do? We are no longer listening to the people. We are going to do what they call the government, in short, what the president wants. It's a huge compromise. And that's why you see there is nothing, there's no faith, there's no trust, there's no confidence in any committee. The finance committee is the one that led us to the finance bill, correct? And they plunged us into chaos. Now, this select committee, and as you rightly say, there seems to be some sort of coaching for the nominees on what to respond. But they are also avoiding key critical questions. They are not being asked about when you are in office, how was your performance? Not just as an individual, but how was your ministry? You know, if you look at the, let's say even now, CS Kindiki, he talks about national IDs, application processing and collection. But we have two porous borders, on the Tanzanian side and on the North Somalian side, which they were trying to relax the vetting process for ID application. Kenya is a sovereign state. I may have friends in Uganda because I live on this side of Kenya, but that does not mean they become Kenyans naturally. You know, there are procedures on how to protect our country. When they tried, and I think him, maybe even the CS Ndwale's docket was also in compliance with that, trying, and I had the president saying we are going to relax the vetting process for ID application. There's a reason we have that, because you don't want our country to be invaded by 100,000 people or 500,000 people from other neighboring countries, because when they do come here, they compromise the integrity of our state, the issues of security. And we cannot politicize that process. Just because I want her to have people to come and vote in 2027, let me give them IDs now, then they can be voters then. Those are kind of questions that they need to be asked, key questions, so that this whole process, and I don't agree with them being there, first of all. So I could be biased, but I think they should not have been there. As Humphrey suggests, there should have been another mechanism to allow other persons who can serve this nation, who are willing to serve, apply or be scrutinized, or even the president to nominate other characters. We have 50 million people. Surely, how poor is his collection of people that he feels.
But the president has done his job, Humphrey. He's simply appointed or nominated according to the constitution. It is up to parliament to do its work as well. That's why we're questioning the conduct of the National Assembly. A further indictment on the National Assembly, this 13th parliament, was what happened with the declaration of the court that the Finance Act of 2023 was actually unconstitutional, meaning that the two finance bills that this parliament has presided over, both of them have been rejected by the courts and by the people. That in itself says a lot about the conduct of this National Assembly. The president may enjoy a majority in parliament, in the National Assembly, but is he getting quality from the National Assembly?
Let me tell you, my brother, just that first, the president must act within his wisdom. He was elected to lead the people, and we believed that he has wisdom to decide on the right thing. So first it starts from the president and it goes to the National Assembly. Those people, as he has said, they still report to him. He gives them the direction. As he has said that some of them are acting like employees. When my boss has said, I don't go above or beyond that. So it starts with our president. What is the best for us? In his wisdom, he tells us, or he tells the people that he feels that serves him that we need to do this. I know before everything goes to the parliament, he calls the people. I remember there are so many parliamentary meetings that he had in State House, you remember, that he would call those people, I need this thing to be done. And all this, as a country, we are watching.
But is it wrong for the president to attempt to do that? Because lobbying for government policy to pass through parliament is the executive's at the executive's discretion. The issue is on the National Assembly itself. Does it have to give in to whatever the executive says? That's the main question, the conduct of the National Assembly.
The conduct of the National Assembly, we have seen, is on the worst. Is on the worst, and that is why we call upon our people, that when we are electing people, we should really be very keen and very precise of the people that we elect. The people would come, there is the difference between being a leader and being a politician. You can be a leader and you can be a politician, but you cannot be a politician and be a leader at the same time. These things, they need to come together. There are things that you inculcate in you. So you find that those people who goes to the parliament, most of them, they're just there to make money. Yes, you remember those during the finance bill, people are complaining, those people are fighting or shouting in the parliament that I will not take money to be compromised. It means that some of them took money. Yes, it is them who are saying, it is them who are writing the social media that they were compromised. So there is a problem. Yes, there is a problem in our parliament.
We've seen the president, in response to the Gen Z protests, Bonakamanya,
Yes.
actually give concessions, meaning that he probably, from the level where he is, he recognized that there are some things that he did or he may have done that the public does not agree with, and he made concessions, did away with some few things here and there, including sending home his entire cabinet, although he has reappointed some of them. But are we seeing the same kind of concession or a public display of understanding and comprehension of the problem from the National Assembly? Are you getting a sense that they've learnt a lesson from the protests and that going forward something will change? They appear to be operating the same way they were.
You know, you raise a very valid point that 2 finance bills have been squashed, a record for this country. Because now we have reverted to 2022-2023 finance bill. And this is one administration that has continuously faced legal tussles. And what does that inform the country? That we are in turmoil, that the lawmakers who are now in the National Assembly are incompetent. Because before you propagate a law, a bill, an act, there is a lot of consultation that happens. There's a lot of discussion that happens. There's a lot of weighing in on the goodwill it will have for the country. How is this going to affect the public policy? How is this compliant to our constitution? Because remember, law cannot be above the constitution. But if you keep on bringing motions, if you keep on bringing bills, if you keep on proposing acts, and they keep on being squashed by the other arm of government, the judiciary, because these are 3 arms of government, what does that tell you? Who are the lawmakers that we have? Again, incompetence. People who either they follow direct orders that they cannot question. And then also the issuer or the giver of the orders is also misinformed or ill-informed or just not listening to the advice at hand or not conversant with what the Constitution says. Because there is a myriad of things. Everybody knows that like the resources mobilization measures they were trying to effect in terms of taxation, that was called off. The national health, this scheme has been shot dead. The finance bill, the avoidable, nowadays it's no longer affordable housing, it's avoidable housing, has been. And where does this come from? From Parliament. Where does this come from? From the presidency. You know, the executive proposes. They discuss, the National Assembly, they now pass it into law. But then it has to be subjected, is it compliant with our Constitution? Because they're basic human rights that we should continue to enjoy as a country. So the driver, or one of the partners in the running of this country is the National Assembly. Have they failed? 100%. If there was a way we could dissolve this parliament, it should be tomorrow morning.
What is the possibility that Kenyans could be able to hold accountable the National Assembly? It would appear that all the instruments provided for in the Constitution, including that recall clause, has so far proven almost impossible. But going forward, is it possible that Kenyans could look at the National Assembly, point a finger and say, hey, you're not doing the work you're supposed to be doing, we will take you and ensure we demand accountability from you?
That takes me to our people. You see, we tried, but some people hijacked the process. So you see, our people, when we are a divided nation by tribe, we cannot be united and point out fingers. So I feel that it is disunity as people that we come with the tribal lines, this has been given to us, so we need to keep quiet. We cannot be able to do this because we divided as a country. But if we come as one united nation, we'll be able to point fingers. If you go to other countries like just an African country in Mauritius, a common mwananchi would go and point fingers and tell you are doing something wrong and you're corrupt, you're going to be recalled right away. So it is the problem of our people. We are not patriotic to our country. That is what I would call it. we are not patriotic to our country, because if we are all united and be not divided by tribal lines, we'll be able to do this. Okay. But right now, my brother, we have to wait for 2027.
It would appear in some way the National Assembly has managed to insulate itself from accountability. That once you're elected as a member of parliament, you know you're safe for the next 5 years, nothing can happen to you. However much you digress from what your role should be. That even if you refuse to go to the house, and some of them have even come out in public and said, Misi endangi bunge, there's really nothing we can do to any of them. We've never seen any member of parliament disciplined, properly disciplined. I think it's only at the Senate where someone was suspended for a while. That in itself says a lot of things. There's been a lot of bad manners within the National Assembly, especially.
You know, there seems to be a sense of anarchy, if I may call it so, when it comes to matters of the National Assembly. As you rightly put it, they're seeking insulation, but it has been superficial. It's the leadership of the House, because the absenteeism of members of parliament is very live to the Speaker, the national Speaker of the National Assembly. So why does he not execute disciplinary measures? That is one question. Because if a member of parliament comes out and says, me, I don't even go to parliament, I go to do other businesses. One, what is he telling his constituents? Two, what is the leadership of the National Assembly doing about it? Because you can only get away with everything if the person who is supposed to hold you accountable is not doing their job. So that is one. Then you look at how the National Assembly has been run. In terms of recalling MPs, that clause they tried to stifle any efforts of the citizens to recall an MP. But I'm glad that has changed, and we are waiting. Now, already we're in August, so we are looking to see how IBC is going to be formed, and if, whether in absence of the commissioners, the directors that are there can, oversee the recall process. So that is going to be very helpful, because it creates an avenue for Kenyans to, if we are not satisfied with the authority that we have delegated to you in terms of representation as a member of our parliament, we can recall that process. Two, we will be looking into the disciplinary and the control measures at the National Assembly, because we cannot have people who are in parliament not executing their mandate in any form or manner, to the extent of even being physically absent. But I would imagine, are these people still paid mileage and other allowances? Do they still enjoy them? If they were paid, they need to bring that back, they need to give those resources back to Parliament. So there needs to be a huge and very thorough process of making sure that accountability is key. Then also I would want to agree with what Humphrey is saying. When it comes to elections, because elections will come and go, and we have not given up. We don't have to wait until 2027 to effect all these measures. Moving forward, every step counts. But the electorate also need to realize now, it is not business as usual. When we run our own local campaigns locally and expect some global impact in terms of deliverance and national policies, we are shooting ourselves on the leg. People need to come out and realize what are the qualities, traits, characteristics, attributes of a leader. Who is the best suited among the candidates you have in your area that you need to vote for? Who are you going to put through to be a member of parliament? How conversant is this person with the job you want them to do? And most importantly, and I think this speaks to across the political divide, what kind of political parties are we running? Because now, Fred, we have to agree, and Kenyans are worried largely so, that the opposition or the government has joined the opposition.
Yes.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
So
we'll come back to talk about that, because it's a whole discussion also on the conduct of the political parties as well, and what they expect going forward. You're still watching Morning Cafe on TV 47. Time for us to take a break. We'll be back in a short while.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indimuli. We continue this discussion. I'm still in studio with Chris Humphrey Ojode and Josephat Kamanya, political analysts. We've been discussing about Parliament and the ongoing vetting process of cabinet nominees. Let's move on to what else has been happening politically. And the biggest discussion has been about the nomination of nominees into cabinet from ODM, and the insistence by ODM that they're still not in government. And that has raised a number of questions. One, do we still have a minority in the National Assembly? And if so, should ODM still be claiming to be a leader of minority? Because we've seen in the last 2 days, they've nominated people to replace the leader of minority, who's a cabinet nominee. Junet Mohammed, a member of ODM, has been nominated for that. They also claim to be taking some of the big positions in Parliament, including the Chief Minority Whip, the Chair of the Public Accounts Committee that was being chaired by ODM Chairman John Mbadi, and other positions. And many arguing that once you move to cabinet and once you move to government, then probably that dalliance means you are in the majority side. Can a party, or should a party like ODM claim to have one leg in government, or one leg in the majority side and one in the minority? And what implication does that bring to the National Assembly?
My brother, okay, for my understanding of what has been happening, the other day I listened to BAMBA saying that they are just the friend of the government, which sometimes I think that is compromising, and sometimes I think is going to save the president. So when I saw Mbadi and the likes, Joe, and them resigning, there is compromising questions there, yes, which sometimes we say that we don't have opposition, but because we have not seen them, we have not seen a serious discussion in the Parliament, I believe that let us give them time, and we see what is going to happen on the matters that affects the country. If they are going to be quiet about everything affecting the country, then we are going to ask ourselves, do we have opposition? Because right now they are claiming that they're in the government, but they are friends of the government.
Yes. But is it possible to have a party split in between the majority and minority, that whatever, because your members or your leadership that has since resigned has moved into cabinet, they still have a lot of support within the party ranks. When they bring government-sponsored policy, because now they're coming from government, should we really expect the minority side of ODM to ask proper questions? And I'm asking this because I can see on page 5 of the Standard, Kalonzo Musyoka has rejected the ODM picks for parliament leadership. Should ODM still demand to reserve all this parliamentary leadership on the minority side for their own party, when clearly one leg is in government?
You see, the discourse we are currently having, political discourse we are having as a country, because this is all politics, you know, is largely mud. The waters are not clear, because the interests that are being perpetuated have nothing to do with Kenyans. These people are on a move to salvage themselves politically. They're trying to rejuvenate their political relevance. Because remember, last year we projected this chaos will be happening because of the finance and the budgeting of this country. And here we are, and the cost of living, and among many other issues that led to the beginning of the Gen Z revolution, which is purely socio-economic, not political, socio-economic revolution. And what did this do? It threatened the political class. And because they do not have a socio-economic answer or response to the questions and the issues that the Gen Z revolution is raising,
They had to gang up.
they've had to gang up and now ask themselves, what do we do? And that's why you see for the first time, it's a choir. You know, they're speaking in unison, they have one voice, they have one agenda, they've become darlings. You've seen clips of former 001, governor of Mombasa, how he used to swear that him and the current president, William Ruto, they can never have a sitting and serve together. But what happened in the last couple of weeks? We also. We saw the president say that in his administration, there shall be no nusu mkate or broad-based or handshake, whatever, any form of going to bed with the opposition. But what have we seen in the last couple of weeks? The same character, same president comes out and says, it is the interest of Kenyans. No, there is no interest of Kenyans here. It is the threat that the political class have experienced that has fully exposed them to the rule of law that we have been claiming to want to uphold, that has threatened them so much that they have to come together and gang up to try and salvage themselves. That's why you see now, even the nominees of the cabinet secretary to the cabinet, they've come from the former opposition, largely ODM party. And what are they coming to take over? The government. The main ministries, the main organs in the cabinet. Why would you compromise so much as a president if you're not politically threatened? Why would you compromise so much as an administration if you're not sure that you have lost the people? So what would you do, in essence, to try and save yourself, is to try and bring some political characters whom you think, because this is purely misinformed, that they still have political ground. They still have political and social capital that can help you to calm down the political temperatures in the country. And that move is not yielding the result. So the loss, and that then goes further to compromise the loss of the opposition, politically speaking, which is fine. And we are saying as citizens, we are okay with that. You guys can gang up, you know, it's a hunting of the hyenas. They come together not because they are friends, but because they want to hunt down these antelope, they must gang up together.
My concern now is the effect this will have on the National Assembly or on the processes in the National Assembly.
Yes.
Because a functioning minority is important to counter at least or to raise an alternative voice when the majority side tries to push through some policies. But now with the skewed numbers and a party that is one leg in the majority, claiming control of the minority, having the chief whip, leader of minority on their side, doesn't it then skew parliament to one side completely? And what kind of effect would that have?
It does, totally. And perhaps even the opposition felt disempowered. Because remember, the government had numbers in manner speaking. So anything they wanted would go through in the National Assembly. That's why they would even come out and say, stamp that whether you want it or not, this is going to go through. And we are going to buy a few of you opposition members with brown envelopes. That has come out, which is purely unethical. But to respond to the question of now how will the National Assembly run? How I wish that we had, I don't want to say I don't have an answer like the sanitizing responses that have been crafted, but how I wish that we had the autonomy of the National Assembly, and that our political parties had ethics and values that they stood for, such that if you, as a member of a political party, are called to go to any other, either civil society or any other political party, or for any reason, you have a dissenting voice from what we stand for as a political party, you ought to resign. Like John Bundy would have resigned, when Opio would have resigned, like leave ODM and go fully. You know? So even when they go there, they are no longer affiliated with their political parties. But we don't have that. These are merely campaign buses that people board to get to the parliament. My worry is, as you rightly put it, that the functioning of the National Assembly now stands compromised. Because if the president and the leader of the opposition are now in agreement that we are going to run this country together the way we want, what chance do we have And that's why we are saying it is okay. They have come together, they are government or opposition, it's fine, but the civilians, the Gen Z, they are the new opposition. Anything that the National Assembly tries to pass and we don't agree, and part of it is this vetting process. Nana is here, he's just around the corner. We are going to offer a public opinion.
Because Kalonzo Musyoka says that the issue of parliamentary leadership, especially on the minority side, was a coalition issue. It was not an ODM affair.
Yes.
So he claims that some of these positions should be occupied by the other parties as well that are within the Azimio formation. Wiper has, I think, 26 or 28 members in parliament. But we see ODM hogging all they have hogged the leader of minority whip, and all a chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee. Surely this is a bad manners you're talking about in political parties.
My brother, sometimes these people, us as Kenyans, we've given them too much peace. Yes, and that is why people, some of them are masquerading of others. And you see, for example, what Joseph has just said, I'm calling our young people to be the opposition because we are seeing the opposition collapsing. The other day, I saw Babu Wino saying he's not boarding. Of course, him as a young person, the cause of him not boarding is because he's seeing things are not going right. So, with this issue of a division of power in the parliament, it is a great issue. But sometimes you don't know, because these people in the night they're speaking this language. The other day you see them together. So, understanding their mode of doing things is a bit tricky. Somebody, if he doesn't get, is making noise. Somebody, if he gets, is staying quiet. So sometimes understanding these people might be a problem. They will divide these seats, but I don't understand the mode that they are using to do this. Because they understand each other today, tomorrow they are fighting each other.
Are you concerned probably by the possibility of a supermajority? And looking at the numbers, it's rare to see UDA and ODM working together. They're the two biggest parties in parliament. Or UDA with, even without its other Kenya Kwanza affiliates, 145 members. ODM with its 86 MPs. Combine the two, that's already 231. They only need one more to have a supermajority. That could have its own effects. Do you see it going that way, that ODM and UDA coming together could render this parliament a totally one-sided supermajority rubber stamp for the government?
I don't think so. I don't think so because I believe the leaders that were there in the minority, they will stand by their values. They will stand by their integrity. Because when you are talking about them coming together, I realized one thing, that these people, as much as they are friends of the government, but they can't deny having a policy that is going to tackle the issues of Kenyans. So I would not comment much about it because this is a new thing that has happened to our country. Yes, it has never happened before because when Kibaki sent away the ministries, the whole cabinet ministry, things were normal. He reappointed new people, but we never saw any change in the parliament. So I will not comment so much about this because it is a new thing.
Yes. Because the Star, the headline today reads, Ruto Raila plan major changes to constitution. And for any amendment to the constitution through parliament, the supermajority comes in handy. Also on the issue of the possible impeachment of a president or a deputy president, the supermajority is needed. Are you concerned that now the numbers look likely to be going towards this direction, either impeachment of a deputy president or a possible amendment of the constitution through parliament?
The greater joy is that any parliamentary process is not final. It is subject to public opinion. And thus, we the people shall stand guided by our constitution. So they may converge, they may have a supermajority. There is a possibility because, I mean, if they decide to go to bed together, there is nothing else to do for the party members. Because that's the other side, you know, that's the other flip side that those who belong to these political parties, the members, in millions, have no say on how the leadership decides to execute in terms of alliance and forging collaboration with either side, the government or the opposition. Because there has not been a consultative process in either UDA or ODM or Jubilee or Wiper, in a manner of speaking. Much as they'll talk about their meetings that they held. But what about the members of those parties? They have no say. So, and those are the Kenyans you're talking about, because you're the ones who are affected by any major structural parliamentary process that happens. Thus, having said that, the parliamentary process is not final. Let there be a supermajority if that's what they want. In the words of John Bundy, and you know, time is very unforgiving. He said, let's give the president his skunk to do with it as he wishes. It's only a matter of time. Now, I want to quote John Bundy and say, let's give John Bundy and company their skunk. In 6 months, we're in August. We'll be here, God willing. February, it will be chaotic. Because ODM had its own, it's largely ODM, it's not the Azimio whole fraternity. Because we've seen Jubilee go to a different side, we've seen Madhakarua go to a different side, Kalonzo to a different side. ODM had their own manifesto, they had their own agenda that they wanted to execute. Is it to say that now the professionals, as Baba called them, are being incorporated in government? Are they going to enforce some of the policies that they had? Are we to start expecting the 3,000 allowance per month that was largely proposed from the ODM Azimio side? So what does this mean in terms of operational processes? Does it mean that now Bandi and Oparanya will wake up upon confirmation and Joho and forget everything they were opposing from this government and now become these faithful believers, you know, on the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, and then try to help the president achieve? So we have to now be very serious and realize it is not a mere position that we're handing over to an individual. There is what we call institutional responsibility. We've seen in other countries, I think I saw a few, is it last week? In Japan, in Peru, there were some oil spills. And the ministers in charge, they resigned. Because you have to assume institutional responsibility. It's a professional responsibility. You don't have to be the one who committed the act. But if the act was within your scope of operation, you distance yourself from that, either to allow for investigation to take processes, or you just agree we were not effective, let another person come in and serve. That is not something I have faith in achieving from all these cabinet secretaries, the parliamentarian process, and the merging of the opposition with the government. We saw, sadly, the former CS, Alice Wahome, saying this is the first time she's jobless. That's why she won this job. A whole, I think 65-year-old. And the president the other day said, if you resign, I mean, if you hit your resignation age, civil servant 60, done, go home. Why are we recycling? You see, so it does not exude confidence. And that's what I'm saying, that we must agree. It's not just about the individuals. It's about the image of our country. It's the image of the administration. It's about the public policy. How much are Kenyans to expect from these processes when we no longer have an opposition that is supposed to be doing checks and balances of the government? Surely, why would you claim you are the leader of opposition? Why would you say you're standing with the people and that this is what is good for the country? The president must remember today, he must recall that the Gen Z revolution had nothing to do with the leader of opposition. Raila Odinga did not instigate the Gen Z revolution. He did not bring people to the streets. He did not call for the finance bill to fall. We did as Kenyans, and it happened. So whatever coalition they may form now, either in anticipation of 2027 or just to salvage themselves between now until 2027, will not hold if we, the people, do not agree with it.
But even as you say that, we can see that even the agitation that had been there, after this cabinet was nominated, it appears to have dimmed down. So either way, this has been successful to a huge extent. The coalescing of politicians, probably to ensure status quo remains. It appears to have worked. Yeah, well, then the president is doing his best to calm down the political temperature.
That is what he's yielding for. When people are in the streets, the country is featuring everywhere, BBC, Al Jazeera, CNN. What does that do to our public image? And now, look at it in a different manner. When the president ascended to power, what did he do? He ran out of the country to try and market himself and the country and place us at a global scale where we can attract investors. That was a good move, if only it had yielded the desired result. But now, 12 months later, from all that cycle of trying to market the country and yield and pool alliances, bilateral agreements, the country is in turmoil. The first thing that happens, investors pull off. You know, he came out to appear as a spokesperson of the African Union, much as he's not. And you remember even the leadership of the African Union said he should stop purporting to speak for Africa because he's not yet in that capacity. So, and remember he was big on talking about how we need to look at our financial infrastructure and have it reviewed from the World Bank and IMF and other partners that we have as African countries, as a continent, as the global south. But much as he was big on that, what was happening back home? You know, expenditure, our economy, our economic policy was not yielding. Our own home infrastructure, finance architecture that he's trying to perpetuate is not yielding results. How does that reflect internationally? Today, we have lost credibility as a country.
Yet, he has managed to quiet down the agitation that was there. You seem to disagree that this has happened.
He has not calmed down the agitation because, you see, when you hear things like Nane Nane, there are a lot to expect. Because as I'm a young person, and I believe that if things are not going right, I'll stand for my right. And that is why people are going to stand for their rights. Because definitely, Gen Z told Raila Amolo Odinga to stay put.
Yes.
Yes. Let him keep silent about it, and we will act and ensure that we get our right. Bringing these people to calm the situation does not mean that everything has ended. It just meant that, okay, some of
Are you predicting that something will happen in the near future, or at least...
something must happen. Because if they don't do the things right, the president had time to redeem himself. Yes, he had time to redeem himself and tell Gen Z... Actually, Gen Z were not fighting for the position in the parliament. They were not fighting for the position in the CS. They were not fighting for the position in the PS. They were fighting for a good country.
This is none of their concern, yeah.
Yes, they were fighting for a good country. But if these people are not going to deliver, then the same thing is going to repeat itself. Because you are not dealing with people who are illiterate. You're dealing with people who have gone to school.
But you do agree that probably even the protesters appear to have given the president an opportunity to see if at all he is doing right now will work.
Yes.
So that in itself could be a solution, a political solution, that the president has now been given leeway to try out whatever he's trying out with the new cabinet, and probably the protesters will come back and weigh and see, has it worked, has it not?
That is why we are telling you that there is a new opposition. Yes, the new opposition is we are the young people.
Okay.
So who checks the government? Who tells the president what to do? He's not the leader of the opposition, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. It's we, the people.
Okay.
And he was given a clean slate, as you rightly put it, to constitute a new cabinet. He should have started with a thorough audit on the performance of those previous ministries. Because remember, even the issue of the PSS is in question, you know. Then, what does he do? Upon being extended some grace, as you rightly put it, to correct himself, if the presidency is capable of correcting itself, because even right now, I think I saw Ahmed Nasir, senior counsel, saying, if now the president does not get it right this time, we will know he is the problem. And he's beginning to prove that he's having challenges, because given a clean slate to start off, what does he do? He brings back the same people that were not wanted. The same people we have issues of competency over. The same people who have been tested and failed because their ministries have not delivered. All of them, from Soipan to Kindiki to Alice Wahome. And even the one he replaces, but I'm glad Machogu is home. I'm happy. And I hope the president does not make a mistake of sending Mashogu anywhere to represent us as an ambassador. That would be an insult. I think there should be a way we can recall even those ambassadors. But whom does he even replace Mashogu with? He is a running mate in the former electoral process. There is nothing wrong with vying for political positions, but we have to look into competencies, because education is one of the, it's an equalizer. We cannot mess around with some of these policies and services that the government ought to be providing to the citizens. So, but what does the president do? He exhibits poor selection of the team. So it's either you have two things. I mean, for a team to function, you must have a good coach, good players, and a good formula. Football, they talk about tiki-taka and other formulas. But now here we either have a bad coach, poor players, and the formula is not seamless. What do you expect? Thus, having said that, I feel that we, the people, must remain resilient. The president may, if he's being held hostage, because again, there is that conversation that is looming about that there are some changes he cannot make because we don't know why. He needs wisdom, greater wisdom than before, because at the end of the day, the buck stops with him. There is nothing we are going to ask any other person regarding the running of this administration other than the president.
And you should know that, you should also remember that there are those people that were taken out and they saw their other counterparts coming in. That is also another revolution that is coming in.
Okay, let me take you back to the conversation about the supermajority in Parliament. And we may be looking at it and being a bit too critical. But is there anything positive that could come out of it? As a headline on the Star says, Ruto Raila plan major changes to the constitution. Yes, we've had instances when we've said that, yes, our constitution as it is requires some adjustments here and there. Can this supermajority be used positively, and in what way?
Positively, supermajority can be used to change those electoral process like IBC. There has been a lot of rot in IBC. And I believe that if this country is going to check on the electoral process of the candidates who are going to fight in 2027, I am sure everything is going to turn out right. Because you realize that every other 5 years, we have problems in the electoral process. Every other 5 years, we have problems in the judiciary. Every other 5 years, all these arms of government, we have problems. Because if you can see, in the judiciary, we have cases that have been pending for the last so many years, and they have never been agreed upon. They have never been gotten an answer. So I know that, okay, we may be looking into a supermajority in a very bad direction, but sometimes it can help in such a way that those processes that have been stalling can be redone, and then we get a better process. So, okay, it has a disadvantage and an advantage, but we see the disadvantage might be too much than there are.
There are risks, of course, but could there be a better use of that supermajority?
From where I stand, I don't see much, because I don't see any legislation that has not come to life as a result of having, I mean, the government has enjoyed a majority anyway.
But they've never had a supermajority.
Correct, but if the opposite were true, that the opposition had numbers in parliament, and thus the government could not move its agenda in parliament, then you would say, having more now people join the government, that increases the chances of fast-tracking the process. But the government has had the majority all through. And they have not listened to the opposition anyway, because if they were listening to the opposition, the finance bill, a recent incident, would not have gone through. And I liked what Dr. Nyikal was talking about. And he said, and he was speaking to now the issue of principle, that just because you're the majority does not mean you're right. I would hate to say evident of the having voted in a presidency that 12 months later people have no confidence in. And Dr. Nyikal was saying that we must learn to accommodate the minority voice. Of course, there is a saying, the infamous saying, that the minority have their say, the majority have their way. But sometimes it's the minority that tweaks the thinking of the majority to have a good idea become a better idea. If that can happen, you don't need a super majority per se.
But to amend the constitution we need.
For constitution, you see, constitution...
Which we've tried to amend severally and successfully. Through popular initiatives, it's been proven impossible so far because we've not had a referendum. Now the only other option was through the National Assembly or through Parliament, and yet no one had the supermajority to achieve that.
To do that. That's
now that it's possible, we've been talking about the BBI, now even NADCO, some of the issues may require amending the Constitution. Do you think that that could be a positive way of using this muscle?
The constitutionalism is an active process. Thus, the more people you have on your end in terms of supermajority, a lot of things could go almost unopposed. But therein lies the danger. Because what if they make amendments, but I like that is not final. We, the people, we still have our input because we can reject. But much as they may have make any constitutional changes that they may so desire, the danger is, might this be geared towards a political solution? Might this be geared towards 2027? Might this be a political realignment that allows their political relevance to come back and to prosper? And yet, they are not addressing the socio-economic issues. All other issues you will hear them putting forth is about political solutions, about division of power, is about organs functioning, is about IEBC, because every time we talk about the constitution, we talk about the IEBC. And it's a key organ, it's a key commission that we need. We need to do the boundaries review. We need the constituencies that are supposed to be effected and subdivided to come into play, because that was supposed to happen last year already. We are 1 year late. So the risk is that any changes they may make constitutionally, they may expose us politically, or they may offer temporary political solutions. But if they're not talking about the socio-economic issues that you're dealing with, that is the primary moment. We are in an economic moment. We are no longer in a constitutional or political moment. That has happened in the past. And remember, much as there are some changes we ought to make in the constitution, currently, that is not the primary issue. If we worked within the constitution that we have, if we looked at the austerity measures, which now you see the conversation is focusing away from, we are being led on a political conversation.
Yes.
And yet we had an economic moment that we need to stick to.
Well, but
that is the danger I see.
Admittedly, the politicians are having their day and hogging the limelight. Now, one way that this muscle, possible supermajority, 233 plus MPs on one side, one way that this muscle could be used is in the rumored proposal to impeach the deputy president. Now we see Kalonzo Musyoka and Kioni, who are not in the supermajority, talking about backing Gachagua in the event of an ouster. Even if they decide to defend the deputy president in such a case, if ODM and UDA and a few affiliate parties within Kenya Kwanza come together, this could actually be possible. So yes, we may ignore the politics and say that's not the discussion, but we are staring at a possibility of this supermajority being used one way or the other. Do you agree that this should probably is a wrong way to use that majority, barely 2 years since the last election?
It is going to divide us along the tribal line, and I would not advise. I'm really pleading with our guys. It is not going. They should not go into this direction, because when you want to oust a person because other people have advised it, so I didn't really see any agitation or any discomfort by the use to our deputy president. I didn't hear about, if at one point you heard about it, you can tell us. But I remember there were no discussion about removing the deputy president. Yes. So they should not use that number to remove our deputy president, because he was elected by the people and the people have not complained about him. And if they are going to do this, it is going to affect the country, and we are going to go back to the dark days. Yes.
But we've seen the relationship between the president and his deputy deteriorate over time. And just this week, A number of his allies, or the Deputy President's allies, have been grilled by DCI of a possible collusion with the protesters and possible funding or fueling of the protests. That in itself, they say, if you want to kill a dog, you give it a bad name. That is enough to give the Deputy President a bad name?
Let me tell you, my brother. I remember they were shouting in the parliament that government eats its own people. The same way they are going to do this, in the same way it is coming to haunt them. I remember our president was saying that I'm not going to do what happened to me.
Well, he has said a lot of things that he has had to eat his own words.
So I see a dark day. See, we are going to go back to the tribal lines. We are going to go back to a Kenya that we don't desire. So I believe, us as Kenyans, we don't agree into hosting our deputy president. And if there is any plot against him, we are behind our deputy president, and we cannot go down and defend our country. So I believe, let us remain to be a united country. Let not some few individuals come and influence this. And I'm telling the president, as the young people, we are behind you, but when you're doing the right thing.
Okay. But the discussions are there, and it's happening.
I feel this domestic issue, the presidential domestic issue, is getting more attention than it deserves. If the president has chosen to fall out with his deputy president, for whatever reason, we should not be dragged into fear-mongering that should they decide to stay together or not to stay together, the country is going to get fragmented. No. You voted as a Kenyan for a presidency, and you accorded them the full autonomy and instruments of power to function as they should. For some reason, if their relationship has disintegrated, because none of them has come out to say, this is what we are disagreeing on. But seemingly their relationship has disintegrated, but they're not coming out to own up as the leaders that they are supposed to be of this great nation of ours. Then we as the people should not be involved in that conversation. Why do I say this? Remember, we had the previous Ruto administration, and in their second term, it came out that the brotherhood, the bromance between the former president and the current president had weathered out. But none of them came out to tell the country what really transpired. Until towards the last days of the campaign, when now the former president decided to support Right Honorable Raila Odinga, until then, only until then were there nuances of what may have been, but still it was not clear. We don't want to put the country in a discussion of assumption. If indeed the office of the deputy president is not working with the office of the president, one, both of them need to resign.
Not one.
Not one. Two, if they cannot work together, if the president feels that the deputy president is a threat to this country, either by having mobilized goons to go and infiltrate the Gen Z revolution or any other, because I saw there are some grounds they're trying to lay for impeachment. If the president feels, the presidency feels that the deputy president is a threat to that institution and the great nation of Kenya, they should come out and pronounce themselves.
Of course.
Let us not use this moment to try and settle political scores. So I'm not holding brief for either of them. If the deputy president has threatened the unity, and not unity, the peace of this country, he needs to go home through whatever channel we can use. If the deputy president feels the president is not fit for this country, he needs to come out and tell us, and then we can send the president home. If both of them we realize they're not good for this country, we need to send as a package. Buy one, get one. We send them home.
Yet ODM has begun to taste power, and a few cabinet positions may feel nice, but a better position would be that of deputy president or running.
Let me tell you, my brother. I remember the president saying that this country is bigger than all of us, and that is what still remains. That the country is bigger than all of us, and whatever decision, as he has said, whatever the problem, let it come out to the public. That we have this has been done, this has not been done. You gave me an aid, you gave me a person to support me, but is not able to support me in 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that now
it is a
the power
prerogative
is
of
the
Parliament.
public. The power is now for the public because we are the employers. And if you are the boss and an employee is not doing the right thing, you sit them down and settle the problem. You go back, the employee go back to the employer that I don't have this to work, I don't have that to work. So as the employer, let them come out and tell, that is why we were still speaking about the public participation. All these.
Yet we are still not able to hold this Parliament accountable. The National Assembly could, in its own motion, institute a motion of impeachment against the Deputy President. It is not a requirement for the public to be involved in it.
They should, and they should. Rightly so, they should. If there is any need, that's what I'm saying, if there are grounds, we have seen them being flaunted out. But he, as you say, he may have instigated or colluded against government. Let's just put it generally speaking, yes. Against allegations against the government. If that is so, the Parliament is in order to initiate a motion of impeachment. But what I'm speaking to is that let it be clear that the issues they are raising are issues they can execute. Why do I say this? Just last week, upon nomination of this recycling process on the cabinet secretaries, both the president and the deputy were together in Tarakaniti and other areas. So what are we saying? Let's not take Kenyans for granted. If indeed, and I'm saying this firmly, if indeed the deputy president has exhibited an iota of sabotaging the government's agenda, then an impeachment motion is in order. However, it should not just stop there. It should proceed. And I want to call out Senior Counsel, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Where is he with the issue of Farah Maalim? Because stripping him of a few positions in Parliament is not enough, given the statement that he threw out. They should have stripped him of membership, of the party membership. He loses his seat, he goes back to his people. If they want to bring him Parliament, that should happen. So we have to be very careful, the double speak, that's what I'm saying. We cannot allege to do one thing on one end, and when it comes to the other side, we're not able to execute. The Deputy President himself, and you remember, I think we were calling for, they need to show President and the Deputy a front, a united front to bring this country together. Because the first time after the June 25th, the President made a speech, and then later on, the deputy made a speech.
An hour later.
45 minutes away. Why they could not be together to make one statement is still to be understood. And we have seen, of course, there are a series of things that the deputy president has said that you can feel he's not in agreement with what the president is saying. That is clear. If they're not able to work together, Kenya is our home. This is our country. It is not theirs. We are the employer, as Humphrey says. It is upon us to finally decide whom we want to have in office. So let the impeachment process come, but I'm saying let it not be partial. Let it be across board. If even there are issues to do with the president himself, let it be brought to Parliament or to us as a people. And then we have a better nation, because at the end of the day, what we want truly, and this is nothing personal, when we raise these issues, we're just calling for good governance. We're just calling for austerity measures so that we can prosper as a nation. And a conversation we may want to have further down the line. There is nothing wrong with what I term as regional balkanization, because this forms the basis of our interest as different communities. It forms political parties, it forms a developmental agenda, it forms economic needs and intervention.
Balance.
Isn't that the same argument that he, the deputy president, has been accused and criticized of pursuing that regional balkanization?
No. I think that's something I do not agree with, in my opinion. The deputy president has not been calling for regional balkanization. The deputy president has tried to consolidate his political base in the Mount Kenya region, which he has failed largely, flat out. Remember, there was a call for kingpinship, which he did not achieve, right? He's been trying to say the Mulima people, who are not behind him. So what I mean by regional balkanization is that in Kenya, you either come from the Rift Valley, coastal region, Lake Basin, ASAL, which is the North Horn, or the Central region. The socio-economic needs, not political, the socio-economic needs of these specific regions are different. They can only be balanced by coming out with proposals to the government so that they can be service delivery. That is the regional balkanization that we need.
Isn't it the same one man, one shilling, one vote debate?
Well, you see, the problem with that is that whoever is calling for one man, one vote, one shilling,
he's not standing for it.
He's not standing for it. He is the deputy president of this country. He should not be coming to tell us that we need to ask for one. Who are we going to ask?
And there is somewhere down there.
Politics about region.
There was somewhere
do you
down
agree
there.
that is probably the best way to go?
You see, let me comment on what he was just saying. Down there, one man, one vote, one shilling was proposed in the BBI, remember? And he was the first person to oppose it. Then later he's coming with one man, one vote, one shilling. So you see, there is a contradiction. Yes, leaders that we have, sometimes they contradict themselves. When they are saying something, when it is best of their interest, they come back and say that it is right. But when it is not, it should be done on the right way, they refuse to do it. Right now, the NATO report is going to be effective, maybe. But you see, down there were tussles that we need to effect it or not. And if it comes about regional balance, it should be there. Yes. Okay. We should represent the regions in a better way. Like you will see that there is an allocation going to Turkana, and then there is an allocation, like the other day I saw some of the CSS distributing food in somewhere in Nyanza, yet people are sleeping hungry in Turkana. So you see, these things are not, the balance should be there. Okay. And that is why I saw the other day President walking around and he held a kamkunji, like for example in Mombasa. That is the right thing to do. You need to listen to your people, sit them down. And that was what Gen Z were calling for. Sit people down. You take your time, go and listen to your people. They're the people that gave you a job. Go and listen to them. And that is when you will come up with a very good agenda, how to govern this country.
Okay. And as far as conversations are concerned, do you think, and we are coming to the end of the show, do you think we're having the right conversation? Because you talk about social economic issues on one hand, but the headlines are purely political, mostly on this other side. Are we missing the point as a country? Are we missing the conversation?
Yeah, we have not understood the assignment, as the infamous phrase goes, because there cannot be a political solution to a socio-economic crisis, not just in Kenya, but anywhere in the world. And that's why every time you hear, when we are talking about developing countries, or countries that have developed, like Singapore, because that seems to be the benchmark, they employed socio-economic solutions.
But isn't politics a vehicle towards that direction?
It is, only if, politics is supposed to offer leadership, right? But if the persons you have are incompetent, our issue is the incompetency of the leaders that we have. Because we have a presidency that has dissenting voices, the deputy and then he's the president. They are of dissenting voices. You have a parliament that is not able to function. You have a judiciary that is gagged. You have the fourth estate, the media, that is equally being stifled and the rights being curtailed.
Just mashed.
Because we have a deficiency in leadership. That's the challenge we're having. Our issue is not the constitution. Our issue is not even on-source revenue. We raise enough money to run like 3-4 African countries in the East African region. But it is the leadership that has failed us. The hope was that having experienced previous regimes that did so well on taxation measures, on attempts to curtail corruption, like in all this conversation, corruption is not spoken anywhere anymore. It's not an issue. It's okay for CS to have made 150 million in the last 18 months. It's okay, let him come back to office. What are you telling Kenyans? What business do you do? Even if you bought a property and you spent money to buy, so you don't double your net worth just like that. But the issue is moral deficiency. So even the church itself has failed this country. We cannot have a political solution, Fred. And Kenyans, the people, the Gen Z revolution has taught us this, that we cannot have a political solution to a socio-economic crisis. There has to be a different approach in terms of leadership, in terms of administration. Either the same people try a different formula, or we just look for new people and try to cultivate a new formula.
Okay, final word.
Definitely, what I'm telling our people, that this is our country. And I'm calling the Gen Zs not to stay put. Just to stay put and make sure that every issue that should be addressed in this country should be addressed. And I'm also telling the president live on TV that he said that he would give us a position as Gen Zs. We have not seen it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so
You've
much.
just seen one. And when I'm finishing, our socio-economic problems has to be addressed in such a way that we as the people, we need to get the solution for our problems. The problems that were raised, including the education problem, whereby the school fees are too much. They've just halted the school fees structure, but they have not provided a solution for this school fee structure. And you realize that in our counties, in our jurisdiction down there, we spend a lot of money on nothing. For example, the bursary. If the president would consolidate all these bursaries that is giving to the governor, to the women rep, to the MP, and they are not doing anything, including the government, the president's bursary, it can provide a free education. Because you give a bursary to the governor, he gives to his niece or his nephew or his daughter to go and study in the US, millions of money. And this bursary you can use to give a free education. All these problems are the things that need to be sorted. Yes.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Chris Humphrey Ojode and Josephat Kamanya, political analyst, helping us to understand the big headlines. Of course, key among them, the continuing vetting of cabinet nominees. And today we're asking, do you have faith in the vetting process of the cabinet nominees that's currently going on? And I can see on Facebook some answers. Manu Senior says, we could have been given the chance to do the vetting as Kenyan citizens. Wendy Chris says, just a formality. DCI Hunter says, we don't have faith. It's political. It's about rich people. It's a same old song. Two more comments here. Alex Kibet says, tumezoea hiyo hata haitushtui kozi serikali si yetu ni ya rais na anafanya vile anataka. Even you don't understand the process, those nominees will be confirmed, Josiah E. Jr. says. Thank you so much for your comments. And you can continue that conversation online on Facebook at TV47 Kenya. We now want to cross over to Thika at the Mount Kenya University Graduation Square, where the 25th graduation ceremony of the MKU University is currently underway. And we're joining my colleague, Linda Alela, is on standby to bring us up to speed with what's happening from that end. Good morning, Linda. What can you tell us from there?
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Even before I get to introduce myself, good morning to all of you. My name is Linda Alela, of course, standing somewhere in Mount Kenya University, Thika. Before I get to tell you where we are, the procession is on for the students. I think it would be fair to get to hear, just to get to hear what some of them have to say about this incredible day for them. And then I'll be coming back to you to give you more details as to the same. Nani atatusalimia?
We are so happy today. Today is our day. We are so happy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm Florence Kemani, School of Education.
All right.
Emmanuel, School of Education. Thank you so much.
Eric Okwete, School of Education, Bachelor of Science.
Harriet Minza, School of Education, Arts.
Class and all that in school.
Agnes Maina, School of Education, Bachelor of Arts.
What your experience has been like?
It has been nice and I like the school. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, kabisa. Yes.
Yeah, Matthew Buire, School of Education, Bachelor of Education Science.
This is likely the School of Education.
Yeah.
All right, come say something.
Hello, Jacinta. I'm very excited today. It has been a tough journey, but I thank God that we have managed. We have made it today. I'm grateful. I want to thank my dad, Mr. Dominic, and my mom, Margaret. and my family.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think it's their day. I mean, I do not want to shine in this moment. I should allow them to shine before I get to tell you more details about the graduation ceremony today. So who else is going to say, oh, watch a selfie kwanza tusalimie hapa. Salimia watu 2.7 live.
Yeah, surprise. Yeah, you surprised me. I'm Gibeon Bernard, and I'm very grateful to graduate today.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Lucy. I feel so happy to graduate today from Malindi. Yes.
Yes, I'm Festus Lotut. I'm very happy and grateful to God because this is just wonderful. I'm from Turkana, Lodwar. Yeah.
Turkana all the way, Lodwar. So, Indimuli, yes, once again, I come to you all the way from the Mount Kenya University right here in Thika, the pavilion where the graduation ceremony is being held. And of course, we are expecting to have more than 7,000, about 8,000 graduates this morning from different schools. Of course, some of them holding their diploma degrees, some of them taking the degree, the main degree. Of course, we have PhDs, we have, of course, certificates. All these graduates will be celebrated and appreciated today. And you've had many of them come from different parts of the country. But the most important thing is that we also have some of them who are graduating from Rwanda, Kigali, as well as one of them who's taking a PhD, who's in the UK, will be joining virtually on these great moments of celebration. And like I have said, we are expecting to have so much jubilation right here. As you can hear right from the background, there is so much music, pomp and color, you know, from the band entertaining the guests, even as we await for the session to begin at exactly 9 a.m. And of course, almost all of them are actually eagerly waiting to see whether I'd be allowing them to say something as they appreciate this beautiful day. The theme of this year's graduation, or perhaps this graduation, because normally Mount Kenya, just a moment.
Amen.
Grateful, forever grateful.
Thank you all the way. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm also going to politics. See you 2027 Kajiado Governor. Oman Bay Governor. 2027. Tutafundisha kidogo kidogo.
All right. Okay, so well, the procession is on, as I have said. The theme of this graduation ceremony, the 25th graduation ceremony of Mount Kenya University, is University Sustainability through Research and Co-Innovation. University Sustainability through Research and Innovation. All right. All right, okay. All right, so yes, the university is celebrating its 25th graduation ceremony today. That is August the 2nd, 2024, right here in the... And of course, we're getting to see different people being conferred for different degrees, as well as the PhD level. We are expecting the diploma level, the graduation ceremony being held right here at the pavilion, Happy Valley Ground along Garissa Road in Mount Kenya University, that is Thika. And we are expecting the guest of honor, that is Dr. Beatrice Muganda Inyagala, and who is the Principal Secretary, State Department, that is for Higher Education and Research Ministry as well. This session will be taken through this session by Professor J.M. Strathers, who is the main person who will be running the event. As well, we'll be expecting the owner and the founder of Mount Kenya University, Professor Simon Geshari, to grace the occasion, not forgetting Dr. Vincent Gadhio, who's, of course, the chairperson of the University Council, and, of course, many other dignitaries and guests equally from the government, to just paint a picture of color and appreciate the hard work that has been put by all these graduates, or these graduates that are supposed to be conferred today. And so the procession is on. As I have said, it's largely about color, it's largely about celebrations. Parents as well as family members are right here on this ground awaiting that moment where, of course, their children, or perhaps their brothers, their sisters, their wives and all that will be given that moment of fame, of course, because then this is a lifetime moment for every other individual, of course, getting to appreciate the hard work that they have put over the years to gain the different, forms of academic credentials that they'll be getting. We're talking about some of them getting their certificates, some of them getting their diplomas, some of them getting the main degree, that is the undergraduate degree, as well as postgraduate, definitely PhDs. And as I have said earlier on, not just in the country, but across borders all the way to Kigali, we'll be having some of these graduates as well being appreciated. So largely at this very hour, I think it's just about music, it's just about, the different announcements as to how we're supposed to carry, the day, and basically as you can see, now there's definitely the graduates getting into the ground officially so that the event can begin somewhere at around 9 a.m. So we'll be looking forward to give you more updates as to what really plays out at this very hour. And, just looking to focus on the many schools, getting to know the numbers of the different schools and, the numbers of the graduates. But I have said in total, there are about 7,900 and something now clocking or almost heading to 8,000. And therefore, I think it's just getting it back to studio in Dimuli, even as we await to see what then the day will look like. Pretty much of a calm day, a chilly one, and we all understand that Mount Kenya University most of the times will hold their graduation ceremonies twice a year, and therefore this being the first one, the other one will be held later on in the year around December or thereabout. I think, as I have said, I don't want to speak much. It is largely about the graduates themselves, and therefore I think they should be the best people to perhaps just share their experiences even as they get into this side. I don't know, this one's appear to be a little bit tough. Say hi to the people.
Hi.
What's your name?
Emma.
Emma, what are you taking? What are you graduating on? School of what?
School of Education.
Hi.
Yes, I'm Cecilia, graduating with bachelor degree in early childhood.
Early childhood.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yes.
what do you say about the journey to getting up to this level?
Oh,
What are your expectations now for it?
Okay, the journey was not easy, but through God's mercies, we have been here, and we expect that we are going to get our fruits from this.
Definitely. Of course,
Yeah.
lots of worries about unemployment in the country. What would you make about your journey so far, the journey of education in the country, and what you expect to get? Want to say something? All right. All right. So we have someone else here who's willing to say. All right.
Wow, my name is Andrew. I want to thank God so much this far. I appreciate a lot. It's been a journey. It's not easy, full of sacrifice and time, but we thank God. Finally, this is the best place to be. And I want to appreciate School of Education, Department of Early Childhood. Yeah.
All right. Perhaps just the other students who are here,
Mhm.
younger ones, a little bit worried that they're making this important pride in life, but worried about what the job market is like out there, and the situation there, even as they get their credentials. What would you tell them?
I'll tell them this. First of all, this is the best investment one can do. Two, you need to be creative. Out of this, we've learned innovation, we've learned entrepreneurial skills. So there is a lot you can do outside there, not necessarily depending on employment, national employment. There is a lot. You can create employment from here, and we appreciate that is what MKU is all about. Yeah.
Many people are talking about family and friends and who they owe all this success to. What did you say?
I'll say this is the best thing so far. And there is a lot. There is a lot that we need to come up with. And once we do this, we also create forums whereby we are encouraging the coming generation. The coming generation, so that they may see this as a step forward. Yeah.
I am curious, were you doing long distance studying, or perhaps you always came to school for regular classes and all that?
No, mine was distance, institutional based learning, BBEL. And it's much of online. Assignments are done online. And 30% of our assignments were done online. But we used to come during the holidays. I'm employed, by the way. I used to come during the holidays for the 1 week for physical exams. That is the 70%. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, what would you say about technology and innovation and the growth of the education space now that you can easily get to do your studies even when you're away from, the main?
One, the world is all about globalization and technology and a digital era. So much is done. Once you engage in that arena, that is the e-learning portal, the platform, you learn a lot. There is a lot there. The world becomes like a small village. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And once again, congratulations. God bless you too. And congratulations to all the graduates and, of course, the procession as they get to settle down, awaiting the beginning of the ceremony that kicks off at exactly 9 a.m. And in Dimuli, we will be on ground to make sure that we get to update you on how the celebrations will be taking center stage. But evidently, we still are awaiting to see the guest of honor get here, as well as the Vice Chancellor, as well as the Chancellor, who will be running the event or perhaps running the graduation ceremony. Right behind me, it is just all about the band. Of course, we still are having graduates. And like I have said, we'll be having those ones with diploma, those ones with certificates, those ones undergraduates. And of course, we definitely as well expect those with their master's degree, as well as the PhD, to be conferred on this very incredible day. We do not have much from this end. We're just waiting to see the pomp and color and celebrate and appreciate. And I throw it back to you in Dimuli, Fred. My name is Linda Alela, once again at the Pavilion Ground right here in Mount Kenya University, Thika.
Thank you so much, Linda Alela, coming to us live from Thika, the pavilion, the MKU graduation grounds, where the 25th edition of the Mount Kenya University graduation ceremony is underway today. Currently, the procession is underway. We expect the main event to begin as from 9 a.m. or thereabout, and we'll be beaming those events live for you. As Linda said, this event is happening concurrently both at Thika and in Kigali, Rwanda as well. So that coming up later on. Do stand by for that and a lot more. Remember, right here on Morning Cafe, it is a Feel Good Friday. You'll be enjoying some music as we continue. My name is Fred Ndimuli. Good morning.